Yeah!
Roslyston, everyone. Can only mean one thing. Car reveal day. I reveal all my cars here. And the van. Yeah, we have the Cadillon van. That was revealed here. Anyway, if you follow the posts that I put on YouTube occasionally, you'll already know the backstory to the car that we're going to reveal. It's quite modern. It's not really that old. It's 23 years old. And there are many, 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 many thousands of them still on the road. You see them every single day. We are going to do this one a little different. A, I'm going to keep this a bit shorter, but B, it's going to be a little montage in a minute because, well, you'll need the little backstory, won't you? So, I've known about this car for many years. I've seen this car many times. It's sat on a driveway, my sister-in-law's driveway. And it sat there for over 12 years, never moved. It's only got 25,000 miles on the clock. It's got fantastic service history, right up to the point that it stopped being used, of course. I would see this, obviously, every time we visited. And every time we visited, I thought to myself, will that car ever move again? Then I heard that it might be finally for sale. So I took the opportunity and I purchased it. Now, of course, the car's needed a lot of recommissioning, and you're going to see a little montage in a minute of the car being, call it rescued. It's not been rescued, but it's been collected off the driveway because, of course, it wasn't drivable. The discs were solid rust. Obviously, it had got no MOT. In fact, the last MOT, it had done about 16, 17 miles from the MOT centre back to the driveway, from which it never moved off again. It's moved off now, everyone. But what is it? I think I'm a bit of a Ford fanboy, even though really I'm an Austin Rover person. There's another Fiesta on the channel, everyone. This time, it's a Mark 6. Please watch the little montage as we collect the car that hasn't moved for over 12 years and we get it recommissioned.
Much later.
Right then, everyone, we're going to do this a little different. Look, hands. We're going to do a point of view walk around this time because it really does help, or I'm expecting it to help, being able to open doors and stuff. Let me know if the point of view works for you. Right, so let's have a look at the exterior first, of course. I will highlight the minor issues that are on this car, but if you look down the sides, well, if you look around the whole car, I hope you'll agree, it's in absolutely fantastic condition. I will describe a few things that have happened, of course, since we've recommissioned the car. Now, there is a first drive video, so you get to see my reactions basically when I first drove this car, because of course I'd never had a chance to drive it. It'd been off the road for 12 years, over 12 years. Please go and check that video out. There'll be a link in the description below. In that video, more importantly, and I guess what many people will be interested in, we discuss what was done for the recommissioning work and the cost. Please go and check that video out when it's live on YouTube. So the issues on the outside, bearing in mind this car's 23 years old, everyone. We've got a little dink there. I assume that's coming up on camera. The very slightest one that may not come up on camera, that I think is somewhere along here. So of course my dent master guy is going to sort that out. The wheels are in fantastic condition. They've never been refurbished and they look amazing. They're all in great condition. None of them have got curb rash. However, we've noticed some marking here. I'm not to know when we collected it off that driveway whether that was there before or whether that somehow happened either during the collection process, the work that's been done, or the tyres that have been fitted.
Well, we now know that one, because since filming the video and now I'm in the edit phase, we can see that the scratches were already on the wheel, but they were on the front wheel because of course all the tyres have been changed, as you're going to hear in a second. And because all the tyres are changed, it doesn't mean that the wheel has been fitted back on the same axle, so the scratches were already there.
Whilst we're talking about tyres, my brother-in-law had invested in 4 new Dunlop tyres not long before the car stopped being used, so the tread on those tyres, as you can imagine, were as new. But unfortunately, tyres that sat in the sun for 12 years, well, the walls were just cracked all over the place and they just weren't safe. So it's now sporting 4 Kumo tyres. I like Kumo tyres. I've had Kumo tyres before. I get on well with them. So the only other thing on the exterior, and I hope this comes up on camera, is the top face of this bumper, which has obviously been caught by the sun. Oh, please note, still got the original dealer plate. I have got replica plates made that look identical to that, but without the GB bit in. We'll be putting them on, but of course we always keep the old ones. And we have got, of course, the famous faded Ford badge, because that happens all the time on Ford badges. But anyway, this here, now I don't want to paint the car. I don't want no paint on the car, because to the best of our knowledge, it's never been painted. The reality is, my sister-in-law bought this when it was just 2 years old. So she was the second owner, I'm therefore the third. So I don't really want to put paint on the car, and I'm sure you would agree. The car is in such great condition, and I've always said to people, anyone that fits OE mud flaps to their car clearly cares about their car, don't they? So anyway, there's me considering whether or not to paint this. Then I've come up with a solution. I've got an order, you know, them bumper protectors. I've actually fitted 3 bumper protectors to 3 vehicles before. We're going to fit a bumper protector there. Then it just looks like what it is, a well cared for car, but without having to paint the bumper. Let me know your thoughts in the comments if you agree with that logic. I think that's a much better solution than actually having to paint. Now, of course, when a car's been laid up for so long, and we will have a look inside in a minute, you're bound to get problems, and we've already had some problems. Equally, however, unlike some of my fleet, we've been putting the miles on this car since the first drive video was filmed. We've done over 500 miles in this car, and I have every intention of doing quite a few more, just to try and eke out any of the remaining problems of it sitting basically on a driveway for 12 years. At least when it sat on the driveway, it was a hard standing driveway, so at least it wasn't sitting on grass, because that would have been pretty grim if it had been. But we have had some problems. First one, and I'll put some photos in and maybe a video clip. I was driving back with my son in the car, having picked him up from college, and we could hear water. Now obviously if you can hear water, there's obviously water in the car, but this wasn't water ingress in the standard sense, because you could hear it moving around. You can probably guess what it was. When we got out the car, I opened this door and started shaking it. Well, I'll let the inset footage show you the rest.
It's still going. Ooh, the gulp coming out now. It's been in there a while, I presume.
Yep. Then, whilst we got the door open, we had a torrential downpour, because it is the UK at the end of the day. And during that torrential downpour, we got into the car one morning and the carpet was absolutely sodden. Now, of course, water ingress can be a real bummer to try and trace. My background is automotive glass, and with automotive glass, sometimes you would get a water ingress, and we would obviously try our best to find out whether it was a windscreen that had been replaced or whatever, but typically it's difficult to trace where water's coming from. However, because I used to work in that industry, I knew that what I wasn't going to do was run a watering can from the roof down, because that proves absolutely nothing, does it? That just proves water's getting in, but it doesn't prove whether it's coming in from the top of the windscreen, the bottom of the windscreen, or somewhere else. So we worked our way from the bottom upwards, and because we worked our way from the bottom upwards, we realised that, what I call it, a catch tray, but the tray that sits underneath this scuttle panel, well, we'll put some inset footage in now. As you'll have seen in the video, of course, you've got the air intake, or the air vent, halfway up that catch tray, and the problem with that is, as it filled up, of course, it was going to go straight down through that air vent, and it did, straight down to the cabin filter, and then straight into the cabin. A cabin filter, may I add, that had been changed as part of the service. So thankfully we were able to fix it, but I did have to spend another £17 on yet another cabin filter. You'll see on the first drive video, in fact you'll have seen at the start of this video, when this car comes off the drive, there's tape over this, and that's because the lock had seized. Well, here's a little piece of information for you all, everyone. But yeah, this tag I've got to put back on. It's not been turning for 12 years, so it doesn't want to turn. This simple lock, when I did some research, I deliberately asked Tony at Forge Garage not to do that. I wanted to do something myself to the car. It's only a lock at the end of the day. Anyway, they seem to be quite expensive at Ford. In fact, they were very expensive, and I thought, well, there's got to be another solution. If you own a Mark 6, particularly of this vintage, looking online, I found the same year Ford Transit Connect, so 2002 onwards, I think. They looked the same on the images. Now, I know a lock, just looking at an image doesn't prove whether it's going to be the same or not, does it? The Ford OE part numbers didn't cross-reference, of course, to the Fiesta. They only cross-referenced to the Connect. But this lock was less than £13 delivered. It's obviously a copy part, hence a Ford key, or Ford looking key, but without the Ford logo on it. I thought, you know what, for the sake of just under £13, I'll give it a go. It came, and we realised it was identical. I'll put a photo in now, except for the fact that this little peg here, that of course is what turns and locks latches behind here to keep it locked, that was exactly 180 degrees in the wrong direction. So what did we do? There's a little clip here, a retaining clip that keeps it on. Carefully take the retaining clip off, pulled the peg off, turned it 180 degrees, put it on, put the clip back on, and voila, guess what, it works. That was less than £13. So if you ever have a lock that seized on a Mark 6 Fiesta, go and check out Ford Connect version of the same, 2002 on, I think it is. Works an absolute treat. It's a good time to mention all the door shuts, as I move a bit of dirt away because it's been raining this morning, because, you know, it's Britain, are absolutely mint. They're absolutely perfect. There aren't even scratches that you would expect to get, as I flick more dust onto the car, when you're getting in and out. If you think of what these cars are, they're just cars that are used every single day, but absolutely perfect. So door card, perfect. I have treated Freya to some proper OE Ford mats, because I like that kind of thing. There were what I call Halford Specials in the car. They're now in the boot. Not a fan of them personally. They're the ones that you can trim down to size, and most people never trim down to size. They just throw them in the car. However, I am a fan of them, so being a bit of a hypocrite there, because they have protected the carpet, and the carpet is absolutely perfect. There's not a mark on the carpet, and there is no damage mark whatsoever on the interior of this car, as we're going to see. So we'll step in. So in here, of course, it's an early Mark 6. I think the Mark 6 in the UK was launched around July, August time, 2002. Freya was registered in March 2003. So she's an early model. And because she's an early model, the dashboard is a little different, because you've got, I don't know if you can pick it up there, you've got like blocks that come up for the fuel gauge, and then a temperature gauge, and they're like in a little LCD display style. If I was really picky, and I'll get this out now on video, that's the only bit of the car that I'm not keen on. I know later ones, or I think later ones, they had the same LCD, but you had the bars like you do for the fuel here, but you also had the bars for the temperature gauge, which was a little bit better. But I have then seen later still models of this car where you've actually got two proper clocks, and I just prefer two proper clocks. But anyway, quality of the interior. There is not a mark, full stop. It's almost like the car's not been driven at all. Now, of course, it's done 25,000 miles, which, if you average that out across the years, is not much over 1,000 miles a year of its life. But of course, as we've said, it sat there for 12 years, didn't it? 25,000 mile Mark 6 Ford Fiesta. I'm not about to say this is the best conditioned Ford Fiesta out there. Of course it's not going to be, and it's not going to be the lowest mileage Fiesta out there. But I can't fault this interior. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. You've got the Ford RDS 4500 split system. I prefer the ones that are a block, I suppose, if I was really honest. But the 4500 is fine. There is one very minor flaw in this interior, but I'm going to repeat, it's 23 years old, so it really is being picky. The Volvo had a bit of shrinkage in the packing, or the adhesive has gone behind, and it left the lever sticking out a little on two doors. Actually, it was both the driver's front and the driver's rear. So this one has done the same a little there, but let's be honest, folks, that is so minimal. That really is being picky. The rest of the interior is absolutely perfect. Now, because the car had been sitting, and possibly because it had a water ingress problem at some point before I bought it, I'll put some photos in now of these sun visors that now look very nice and clean, but as you'll have seen on the pictures, not so clean when I picked her up. The glove box, of course, has not got the handbook in, but I have got the handbook. I'll put an inset photo in now. It's in its proper Ford wallet. It's got the service book. It's got the service stamps. It's all good. Now, as a Z-Tech spec, because it's a 2003 model, yes, you get niceties like the shiny gear knob, and it's a nice spec car. And I do like the dashboard with the black over grey. A dashboard which, may I say, it's not a criticism, but Ford definitely went for function, didn't they? It's very functional. It's very solid. It feels good quality. No squeaks, no rattles. But it sort of reminds me of a, I don't know, maybe a VW Polo or something. They've gone for function rather than fancy. I'm thinking back to when the Toyota Yaris was launched, which I think was in 1998. It replaced the Toyota Starlet, which was bomb-proof reliable, but was a little bit bland to look at inside and out. The interior of the Yaris, Toyota went absolutely mental. And it looks really, really mad, and I think quite funky. Ford obviously didn't go for that approach with the Ford Fiesta, but I do like the layout, and I do like these ball air vents. They're just very tactile, and they're simple, and they work. It's a really nice touch.
Yeah!
Hey, get out more.
Let's have a quick look in the back. So again, obviously, as we said, clean door sills. Has anyone noticed there are mats over the carpet mats? I am that person, everyone. I like to protect the dealer mats. I'm not the only one that probably does that, but I know many will think to themselves, so you've bought mats, but you've actually got mats to protect the mats. It's just what I do. I like to protect the OE Ford mats. Oh, and while we're talking about the mats, I know not every country this Fiesta is called the Mark 6, they're called the Mark 5. In the UK they are definitely called the Mark 6, and to prove it's a Mark 6, when I ordered the mats, the OE mats from a Ford dealership, the invoice says Ford Fiesta Mark 6 2002 to 2008. Anyway, unmarked, look, unmarked interior. It's absolutely fantastic. You know, the roof lining. It's to be honest with you, and I know I said this when I bought the Volvo, it's almost like I've walked onto a Ford dealership forecourt when this car was 6 months old, and I'm looking to buy it because it's in that good condition. Anyway, let's look in the boot. A boot which you either have to use the key or you have a button. So we'll press the button. This is why I got mats over mats. Look at the mess already. So in the boot, first thing to note is no scratching on the back of the seat, no wear on the carpet whatsoever. If you'll excuse the old mats that are in the car, my camera, and some cloths, because we've had some drizzle this morning and I wanted the car to stay looking clean. If we lift this up, we will see you have a spare wheel and a jack and a brace that's never been used. How about that? Just gets better and better. It's quite funny actually, because the car of course hadn't been used for so long. Every time we were shutting the back door, in fact on the first drive video, I think you can probably see this sticking up a little, you'd shut it and it was catching the sides here, the plastic panels there, because it just wasn't used to going up and down again, was it? But I think now, let's have a look, it now works a treat. Last but not least then, let's look under the bonnet. Now this is the only thing that I've not cleaned yet, so you're going to see it as it is. However, although I've never previously bothered to do much as far as cleaning under the bonnet, I have decided I'm going to do that with this car, and therefore I'll do it with the rest of the fleet. So I'm going to invest in stuff that will sort that out. Anyway, not a lot to say really. 1.4 16 valve Duratec engine, all new antifreeze of course, all new coolant because it's had a lot of work done. As I say, you'll need to check the first drive video to see what was done and what the cost was. It drives lovely. It's quite sprightly. It pulls really well, particularly off the line. But then I suppose if you think about it, it's a 1400 16 valve engine in. Let's be honest, this is still from a time when smaller cars were, you know, small. And although it's got some safety equipment on it, it still won't be quite as heavy as the modern fodder, will it? It goes really well, and it's pretty good on fuel, but then you would expect it to be pretty good on fuel. All I've done under here at the minute, apart from obviously when we stripped down, had to fix the water ingress problem, is put one of my battery isolators on, but that's pretty much it. Now this is where I check my notes, just to make sure that I haven't forgotten anything. There'll be a little interlude now. There's just one little thing barely worth mentioning, but the lights, I love the tall lights. It kind of helps make the car look as narrow as it I think it really is. It is quite a small car, as we've said, but that was quite a theme in its day, wasn't it? I'm thinking cars like the Fiat Punto, but I think it's a really neat design, and it ultimately, you know, limited space, I think that's a great solution. What do you reckon? That's it then everyone. Project Freya is now officially on the fleet. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, what you think of her. Do you own a Mark 6 Fiesta? Or have you ever owned a Mark 6 Fiesta? What would you do with such a low mileage car? Would you try to keep the mileage low, or would you use it? Because at the end of the day, it hasn't done many miles for many years, has it? Anyway, please consider hitting the like button, please consider subscribing. If you're not subscribed, there'll be a link above my head in a few moments. It's completely free, but we value your support and it does help build the channel. That's it really. Thanks for watching and enjoy whatever it is you're driving.